Hello everybody, what's up and welcome back to another StarCraft 2 Ownage Shack tutorial / strategy video for Force Strategy Gaming. My name is David and I'm going to be bringing you a Zerg strategy today. Our Zerg player is going to be AAA Nurkio or Nurkio, not really sure how that's supposed to be pronounced, and he's going to be facing off against MYM Sase, the pink Protoss player here on Blistering Sands. And in this tutorial video, one thing to note, we are going to be looking at solely the vision of AAA over here, just because that seemed to be what people wanted. Notice that what you commented on my last strategy video, so I will be listening to the people and going through with that. Once again, thank you very much for your comments. Now in this game we are going to be looking at particularly how to defend a 4-gate push. Probably one of the strongest builds a Protoss can open with versus a Zerg, really on any map. Of course, warp gate technology really negates any rush distance. Map distance simply has no effect anymore on these things in StarCraft 2, and so that's why 4 gates are so popular, really strong, very easy to execute as well, even for the lower leagues. There's really, there's not much a Zerg can actually do versus it if the Protoss is playing perfectly. However, in this game, of course I've seen it already in advance or I wouldn't be making this video, Nurkio does a very good job of repelling that 4-gate. We can see the first thing he does is he throws down his pool at about 14-15 supply, and right after that he's going to be throwing down his gas. We're going to need some gas for this. It's not an early expand build by any means. We see the Extractor is going up right there at 15 supply. Now the reason we don't want to really get that fast expansion is because Protoss really has so many cheesy things they can do to negate that. There are proxy pylons just simply blocking the expo. We also have cannon rushes, 2-gate builds where you can see the probe is already lurking in the shadows there, hiding in the fog of war. And all of these things really make it very difficult to defend a hatchery that's placed down so early. So we can see that we're going to be getting some gas early, and the pool is actually just going to be there to get a few Zerglings. We see we don't make too many, we only make 2 Zerglings. Meanwhile, our drone has almost reached the Protoss base. Now the first thing we see is the cybernetics core, which means of course there must be a gateway somewhere, and there we see that gateway right there. Now the other thing that you're going to want to look for when your drone gets in here is the second gas. As we can see, no second gas has been taken, very indicative that a 4-gate is coming. If your Protoss opponent has only 1 gas at this point, there's really 2 builds that they could be doing. There's a 3-gate expand, and there's also the 4-gate rush. And you know what? That is they're both very powerful. So you're going to want to delay your hatchery for sure. As you can see, annoying things going to be delaying it for us, however. Now the next thing you're going to want to do at this point is you're going to get Zergling speed and throw up a Roach warren. Roaches are extremely good versus 4-gate pushes. Zerglings will not do that well simply because your Protoss opponent can just go pure zealots and rip you to shreds. There's nothing Zerglings can do versus zealots really. If the zealots get in a good position, of course on Blistering Sands it's very easy to do with the 2 entrances. Your Zerglings will be slightly useless. So as you can see, we get that hatchery quite a bit later than usual, and that's absolutely fine because versus a 4-gate, that's exactly what you're going to need. We can see that the Zerglings now take the Xel'Naga watchtowers. Very important there. This will allow you to see any probes coming in. You might be able to actually find the location that the proxy pylon is going to be placed at. Notice that Metabolic Boost is being upgraded, and just so you know, don't worry, a build order will be included for you in the description of this video, so just pay attention to what's actually happening for now. We can see that the Roach warren is now complete, so we're going to get those first roaches out right about now. Hatchery is about halfway done at this point. Now the important thing to note here is that this Overlord is watching these backdoor rocks. Of course, with the Zergling on the Xel'Naga watchtower, you shouldn't be taken unawares anything here, but on Blistering Sands, this is probably the most annoying thing to deal with, so it's really good to just put an Overlord there. We can see the Overlord positioning is really all around pretty outstanding here by our Zerg player. He's making sure that he has vision of everywhere, and with his Zerglings he sees the very first little push coming out here, and a few more zealots coming through this way. And this is probably going to be, the warning bells have gone off. He sees this coming down with his Overlord, and now it's really when you're going to want to start putting those roaches out on the board. As you can see, these roaches should do very well versus the stalkers. You're going to want to pull back away from the zealots, however. Getting that probe is very important as well, so he can't replace this pylon when we eventually want to take that down. We can see that he's also bringing his queen, going to be great, deal some extra damage, tank a bit of damage, as well as use some transfusions. And this is basically the point where you have to survive. If you can survive this push, you are going to be in a very good spot. And we can see he's continuing to make roaches. He's also getting a ton of Zerglings out to deal with these stalkers. He has speed research, so he can easily get behind these and trap them. Now, as you see there, he's going from the behind with the ones he had at the watchtowers, and now he's going to be trying to pick off these stalkers. When they pull back, he's also going to be trying to deal damage versus that pylon. If he can get this out, the 4-gate is essentially stopped because there's no probe here to replace that. So as you can see, he continues to target fire one stalker at a time. You can see he's picking off the weak ones first. There goes one, and then when he's in range, he starts doing some damage versus that pylon. Now this is what you want to be careful of. If you see those zealots, you need to pull back or you're going to get sandwiched by his units. It's a very micro-intensive battle, as you can see, continuing to produce roaches and Zerglings. Not a single drone is being produced in this time, and now that you've got that pylon down, you should be easily able to defeat the rest of these forces. Getting supply blocked almost there, it's something you want to be careful of. As you can see, 3 roaches and a couple of Zerglings should be enough to mop up these forces he's forced to pull back. And your reinforcements actually should be coming fairly soon as well. Now, one thing I do want to note here is that if our Zerg player had put a creep tumour down during this, he could have easily gotten his forces down here a lot faster to help prevent that 4-gate from doing more damage. So that's something you always want to be on top of. Getting those creep tumours versus a 4-gate is absolutely pivotal. Now, as we can see with our Zergling at the Xel'Naga Watchtower, he's going for these back doors. Our Overlord's also going to give us some vision of that. We see the Stalker's little zapping there going on. And we're going to want to try and take that out. I don't really know what the Zerg can do right now. You really just have to wait. It's too many forces for you to deal with right now off of creep without roach speed. Of course, lair tech is not going to be started anytime soon, simply because we have been committing to so many units. So as you can see, the Zerglings are continuing to go around the map here. Just going to be checking what, just checking the front door, seeing what he can do. Going to be happy to see that no expansion has gone down yet. And really, now that you've defended the first of that 4-gate push, you should be very well able to win this game. We see that the rocks are almost down. And, still no creep tumour, and that's really one thing I'd love to see from the Zerg player AAA right now. Continue to do some damage in the main. A few warp-ins will stop that, however. But it's absolutely great to get the scouting in. We see still no gas has been put down, though. Now that the Protoss player has busted into your back door, you're going to want to make sure that your forces are prepared to deal with that. You see how slow those roaches are. It's very difficult to deal with without the creep tumors. Once again, guys, it's very important if you're going to do a build like this to get that creep. You should get it always, no matter what happens. The roaches are going to be trying to do something here. You'll notice that more forces are streaming towards. You're going to cut off the reinforcements with those roaches, and as you can see, he manages to get into the main, but that's okay because we did pull all of our drones to prevent too much damage from being dealt there. Now, you're going to notice that there's not many forces here. Your Zerglings should easily deal with the Stalkers, while your Roaches can lay down the law versus the Zealots. Shouldn't be too hard of a defense. With the creep here, you're going to let us get a little bit of a surround there with the Zerglings, and the Roaches will easily crush through the rest of these forces. We're going to want to focus down the Zealots first, of course. They are the main damage dealers, and once these last forces are dealt with, you're in such an advantageous position with your extra base over your opponent that there's really nothing that your opponent can do at this point, aside from rage quit out of the game, which is what we saw there. Of course, always GG before you go out. But anyways, that's this build. Now, you probably might be wondering, well, there wasn't really much in the way of a build order here. And yeah, you're right. It's a very micro-intensive defense, as we could see there. Man, that text is annoying. And really, that's what you're going to have to focus on if you want to do this. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. Any comments, always appreciated. If you want to see some more strategy videos like this one, just go check out my channel. I do commentaries and some tutorial videos. Link should be in the description along with that build order. So, hope you enjoyed it. Once again, see you later, guys.